A punch for a punch. See that? This evening, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have a very, very light, easy discussion. There's not too much to talk about here, but I think that this needs to really be said. Dave Chappelle. I know it's been on your hearts and minds. And I really thought about if I was going to do any commentary on this. So I was going to prepare any real material. And I can tell you I really haven't prepared any real material. I just want to go off the cusp here. I watched this special twice. And let me tell you, my ancestor, the legend, I applaud you. You are a man of master and craft. This is a very volatile and very decisive topic. And I think this is more entertaining than it is informational, right? So again, we are discussing no other than the great Dave Chappelle. Now, a lot of times in comedy, comedians can use their platforms for various of reasons. They can use it to denigrate a group of people or all people or certain groups. They can create stereotypes. They can use their platforms for positivity. And they can use their platforms for impact and energy, right? You saying a certain thing in a certain way will rub or have people to think outside of their regular standard of thinking, right? Most of us think absolutely same on most of the things that we go over in our lives. But this is very different, right? Because not only is he a comedian, but from his messages and impact in his words, he's also, as the media would hate me saying, awoke. He's very, very woke. And for these past specials that Dave Chappelle has been doing, it's a lot of symmetry in his words. It's a lot of art in his word. There's a lot of coded messages in his word. And ladies and gentlemen, I think it would be very, very important that you go back and you watch all 6 of his Netflix specials. And instead of listening to the comedy, focus in on the message. Good evening, Broad John. What am I getting at here? So this is my perspective and this is my opinion about the current situation. Now, you guys can agree and disagree, but I believe that Dave Chappelle, the message he was given was fighting white supremacy. And some of you probably are focused on what the media has said. They had said, oh, no, this has to do with transgender. This has to do with homophobic rhetoric. This has to do with someone who's, anti-LGBTQ, someone who's anti-BIPOC. All of these synonyms and pronouns, they said that essentially Dave Chappelle is against. He's never said he's against that community. He's never said F that community. He's never spoke ill about that community. What he has done was open the door on the community and walked in and told everyone how they stink. Not because of their gender, not because of their belief, because of white supremacy. If you will watch the special, the closer, I don't know if you guys watched the rest of them, but all of them had coded messages. And throughout these specials, what Dave Chappelle has said, he always said this: it's not about LGBTQ or trans, it's about white people. Right? He's talking about racism. There's some things and some correlations and some points that he actually made in this special. Now, I'm telling you guys should go out and watch this special if you haven't. And if you have watched it, watch it again, but listen from an intelligent perspective versus you're ready to laugh, right? I know me. I was ready to laugh. And then the first time I watched it, I focused on him and then his words. The second time when I watched it with my wife, I really started focusing on the audience. And I told her, babe, look at the audience, right? There were some people from the LGBT community in there, which seems to be part of their community, allegedly, quote unquote. And they went from laughing on the first 15 minutes, and then their faces were very stoic, right? It was very tense. And they had different facial expressions. Some were like, damn, right? And some others was like, I understand what he's saying. Then others were like, no, this is homophobic, this is anti-trans, this is this, that, and the other. He never said anything anti-trans. He never said anything anti-homophobic. But see, I talked about this earlier on my Clubhouse, on one of my Clubhouse groups, and I said, is it emotions or is it pride? Because what Dave Chappelle was talking about was white supremacy where it has no group. You're in by your skin. Because he said at first, you guys were racist, we pushed back. And now you can't call us this and that anymore. So what you have done is now say that you are an opposite sex, or you're trans this, or you're gay that, and you still oppress us through gender equality. Then some people may fight, say, well, Ross, there's people in other, there's people from other races like blacks that are inside that community as well. Well, tell me how that worked out for them. See, they created a very, very powerful movement, and it's always been beside Black empowerment. Every time we have had charges of energy within our community to go out and fight for justice, equal rights, reparation, whatever it is, there's always another movement that blindside us. The Me Too movement, this total dismantle the whole marches with George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Trayvon Martin, etc. This totally railroaded it every single time. Every single time. See, they never want to mix gender and race together, and that is what Dave Chappelle was doing, ladies and gentlemen. This is what he was doing. Good evening, Jermaine Anderson, and as well, Prime X. Nice to see you, brothers. See, the point is people get so emotional, so prideful about who and what they are, right? They totally miss the message. They totally missed the message. This is a very, what he made with the point with the baby, that the baby killed someone in Walmart and nothing occurred to his career. Nothing happened to him. No one came after him. No one spoke ill about him. But as soon as he made what they said was an indirect comment towards the LGBT community, they started to cancel the baby. Talk bad about him all over social media. He lost some contracts. He lost some things that really cost him some money. But this is the way that white supremacy in different groups oppress people, especially melanated people. Am I saying the entire LGBT community is white supremacist? No, not saying that at all. But I'm saying they dwell within that community. And now they're using gender as another oppressive tactic for us. And this is what he was actually trying to show people through the way he masterfully crafted that special. That special was actually special. And if I don't believe that you really deep down listen to it, were you listening to with your emotions? Were you listening to with your pride? Or were you listening to with your mind and your intellect? And say, what is Dave really saying? None of us did that because a lot of us are surface. None of us are 2 or 3 levels deep. No. When I go and I do my stock, reviews, you guys are 1 level deep of data. That means whatever you see, the pendulum going up the mountain, down the mountain. That's what most people are. They just want to see that. No, when I drop down to that 2 level data, when you see the RSI and the movement averages of a stock, that's what Dave Chappelle was at. He was at that level 2 and level 3 data for your conscious mind to figure out what he has already planted in your subconscious mind. Somebody probably not understand what the hell I'm saying right now because I'm talking a little bit different. Because this had to do with psychology and separating your feelings and emotions to understand the message that this was anti-white supremacy. Do you think Dave Chappelle gives a fuck? Oh, it was coming. I don't just write thumbnails for nothing. Do you think he gives a fuck? And for YouTube, that is spelled P-H-U-K. The way I'm saying fuck is spelled P-H-U-K for YouTube purposes. Do you think he cares? So, just like anything, family, I like to break things down just a little bit, right? So let me show you what I found here. Let's walk through this together. Dave Chappelle, right? One of the comedic greats of our time, especially my day and age. I was a little bit too young for Richard Pryor, but Dave Chappelle was the man for me. It says here, according to Celebrity Net Worth, Dave Chappelle is worth about 50 million, right? But it's also reported that he makes $20 million per special. He has released 6 specials with the streaming service in the last 5 years. So that's already $150 million. No. I'm sorry. 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. $120 million. $120 million, family. That's how much he made in the last 5 years. $120 million. So I did some math because I always love to give you the math of it. Let me get rid of this. Okay. I'm blow this up for you guys. So you guys just to understand where I'm coming from with this. Dave Chappelle doesn't give a fuck, right? How much did you get paid? $20 million for 1 hour. The special is only 1 hour and 12 minutes, guys. How many hours per day do you work? 1. How many hours per a week do you work? 1. 1 hour. And this is how much Dave Chappelle is essentially worth for his 1 hour special if you do an annual wage of working 1 month, 1 hour for a year. Dave Chappelle could possibly be worth $1.04 billion. So why did I give you that? Because his monthly wage, if he would have did a special 1 month for the entire year, it'd be worth $86 million. Can you fathom that much money in a month? So what am I getting at? Dave Chappelle doesn't give a fuck because he can say what he want to say, but that's not the point. He just was not talking out the side of his mouth. He was talking about white supremacy through gender equality. That's what he was talking about, family. And if you haven't seen The Closer, again, I'm not promoting for Netflix. I'm supporting for Dave Chappelle. But I will say this. Am I going to go and follow Dave Chappelle? No. He said some great things that I think that needed to be said. He's standing on his square. He doesn't care about getting canceled because he can't get canceled. He already got his money. He can't get canceled. Who you canceling? They want Netflix to take off The Closer and some other comedy of Dave Chappelle like he gives a fuck. He doesn't care. He got his money. You can take it down all you want. I done made my deal. And here's the thing. People are still ranting and raving on the other side. See, that's the point. They only show you the negative side of things, but there's triple the amount of people who want Dave Chappelle to continue to do specials. And I'm going to tell you something about his comment he made that rung a bell with me. And I don't think if you guys seen this, I don't think you guys got it, right? I don't think you guys got it. He was very intelligent. Remember at almost the end of the video, if you've seen it, but this is what he said. He said, do not abort the baby. Do not abort the baby. Think about that. In that particular instance, was he just being funny with symbolism like the baby and don't abort the baby? Or was he doing a dual consciousness message for you to understand? Like, don't cancel the baby and also don't abort the baby. Think about that. Dave Chappelle's point on abortion and child support is child support is driving the left crazy. Who is the left? Who is the left? Is it Democrats? I don't know. I'm just asking. It's a question. But they were talking about how Dave Chappelle was talking about abortions and things of that matter. So it made me think. I said, wait a minute. Isn't he have something to do with abortions? And right? I don't want to tell you his stance on it because I don't want to misquote his words. But it's something that I think you should really look into because, again, when we're watching comedy, especially Dave Chappelle, I'm not talking about Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart, it is what it is. There's really no dual messaging there. No. You won't get confused. It's funny. He's funny, but it's no coded messages there. But Dave Chappelle is very coded and funny. The thing about it is he says things that comedians wish they could say. He said this joke, and I thought it was absolutely hilarious. He said the reason why the women movement, he said, hey, I think he said the Me Too movement or the woman movement, right? Or the feminist movement. That's what he said. The feminist movement, he said, needs a man. Right? He said that the feminist movement needs a man because he looked up the word feminist and it says any human being that supports equal rights for women. He said, I'm a feminist, right? And I can say here, I'm a feminist. I want everybody to have the same rights as everybody, right? If that was a thing. So he said, I'll take up that mantle and I'll be the leader of the feminist movement. He said, I will only require you to do one thing. He said, suck his, you know what? That is what he said. So again, even with that particular statement, I think there's something to really break down, right? Because a lot of these movements derailed Black empowerment, right? Let me tell you something. There's an energy when our people are out marching to the powers that be, and marching alone doesn't really change anything. You're just hurting your feet. Marching alone, there's some other things in the back offices legally that you must do while you're marching and getting the attention of very powerful people. See, that's essentially what marching is that we have a large group of people that say that you're doing us wrong. The government can stand on their square and be like, we still not doing nothing, but it's the powerful people in business that really makes a difference because they say, hey, listen, come your next 2 to 4 years, we're not going to fund your campaign. That's why marching is important because you get the attention of other people. Because believe it or not, people are very nonchalant about other groups. Like, I don't think them guys are doing that bad. I see these guys on TV with, huge chains on, stacks of money. And you have to really, unfortunately, show people, right? They're in the place to support and assist you. And I'm not talking about people from other groups. I'm talking about people that look like you and I. Dave Chappelle's special, The Closer, was not anti-trans. It was not anti-homophobic. It was anti-white supremacy through gender equality. He made a comment too. He said, gender is a real thing. And then he made this compare and correlating contrast. He said, and I'm going to make it in my own words, right? This paraphrasing, I'm making it in my own words. If you're in the urinal, right? You're in the bathroom, you're at the urinal, and you're taking a leak. And what's supposed to look like a woman walks in. And you're like, wow, that's strange. And they come shoulder to shoulder with you. You'll be, somewhat abrasive because of, the proximity and that it's a woman in the bathroom. And then she pulls up her dress and pulls out a large Johnson and uses the bathroom. Now, the correlation is you're in the urinal again, and there's a guy that walks in, but he turns around and puts his butt towards the urinal and pees. And the only thing he said, well, that's quite odd, and kind of just, walked away. He was making a point there, and I think it went over everybody's head. Now, granted, comedians are artists, especially when they speak on his level. They're artists to me. It's like looking at a Picasso and you're like, what was he feeling? Where was he at? You're trying to get into the artist's mind, right? And that's what you have to do with Dave Chappelle. Now, you might get something totally different. But my point here is, whatever you get, I don't know how that leads towards him punching down on the LGBT community or the BIPOC community I don't know how it's doing that, right? So a lot of times people that's in high places that may resemble you and I comes out with that tomfoolery to trick your mind, especially when you're thinking on a very surface level. They want to keep you annotated. They want to keep you dumb. They want to keep you under, so you don't understand that all this time your ass been asleep, and the rest of us who are woke are trying to wake you. They don't want you to wake up, family. When you get into your conscious mind and you get out from your slumber and you really see what's going on, that doesn't have to be your focus, right? Racism, discrimination, that doesn't have to be your focus. Your focus should be making yourself better regardless of the odds. Because a guy like Dave Chappelle, here's the thing. You can rant and rave about him all you want. He doesn't give a fuck. YouTube, that's spelled P-H-U-K. He doesn't give a fuck. That's the only reason why I did this video, is because he doesn't give a fuck. He got his money. Take down his videos. Cancel Dave Chappelle. He has made $120 million in the last 5 years. He turned down a $50 million check and went to Africa and chilled out for a couple of years. He came back. Nobody knew he even came back. And he was doing little hole-in-the-wall comedy clubs. Boom, Netflix special. And this is what they did. They said the mass media, through the lenses and eyes and ears of white supremacy, told the black community that Dave Chappelle lost it. Dave Chappelle's on drugs. Dave Chappelle has lost his mind. He flew to Africa. He sold all this stuff. His family don't know where he is. They said that he lost his mind. That's what they said. I remember Ricky Williams. He didn't play in the pros that long, but he was a really good running back. Ricky Williams. And then I think he started noticing the lifestyle of professional athletes and the environment that he was operating in. And he broke away. I think he went to Jamaica. They say he started smoking, paraphernalias and whatever, like talking about the weed, right? That's it. But a lot of times, these people who are great people in their own right, in their own space, in their own little niche, they're great, right? They're masters at what they do. When people see that, they see the power and energy that you hold. You know what they try to do, family? They try to control you with a check. Most of us would have signed that $50 million check, and your souls would have been essentially owned by that network. I don't want to say the network. I just say that it's the initials are CC. He did not want to be owned by that network. Because here's the thing, family. When you saw seeing melanated people in these entertainment spaces wearing dresses, and I'm not saying, I'm just going to keep it like that, wearing dresses where they normally wouldn't wear one, taking up roles in movies that denigrates the melanation, or emasculate their character. They're doing it for a check. Dave Chappelle, if you notice, when he left the CC network, he changed his comedy. Did anyone notice that? His comedy became very conscious and deep, right? It was no more Rick James, bitch. It was no more of that. It was no more that he was a black guy who couldn't see, but he was a white supremacist, right? He was with, white people came to his door and he was saying the N-word over and over again. They're like, that, they call him the N-word. They're like, who was that? Because he couldn't see. But he was also racist as well because he didn't know what color he was because he was blind. Ever since that genre of Chappelle show, when the Chappelle show went over and he took his trip to Africa and I guess Exorcise the Demons came out, he came back over and he started making very conscious comedy. You ever heard of that? Conscious comedy, where it's funny, but it's not funny. And you just like, wait a minute, I'm torn between laughing and really thinking about it. That's conscious comedy. That's conscious comedy. Let me give you a demonstration. If you was listening to Kevin Hart, that's pretty much how you'll laugh, right? But when you listen to conscious comedy, it's more like, whoa. Oh, woo, that was deep, right? Like it lifted your spirits, but it also elevated your mind. It lifted your spirits, but it also elevated your mind. You're like, oh, whoa, that's wait a minute. What did he do there? Did he just drop a gold nugget? And that's where we lose it at, family. We're so focused on, oh man, I tell you, that's a knee slap. Instead of the comedy to go, what the, wait a minute. Oh, ooh. That's where I'm at in life. Where we can tell jokes, but does it have meaning? Do not let mass media tell you to cancel, to talk down, to mix up certain comment because they do not like a certain individual because their dollars depend on it. Let's understand what the man was really saying. But I do want to put this public service announcement out. Dave Chappelle don't give a fuck. He's been talking about white supremacy and poor white people. Let me point that out. White supremacy and poor white people in all of his 6 specials. Very cryptic. But I think a lot of us like to be entertained too damn much. And I think this is the niche I like Dave Chappelle in, where you can get your entertainment and you can also get your consciousness inside, right? There was a lot of things said during this hour and 12-minute special. And I advise all you guys go out and please don't just watch it, right? Don't get your popcorn. Don't get your soda. Get you something a little stronger and just relax and listen to what the brother is saying. And then I'm not saying you'll come to the same conclusion that I came to, that is not about anti-LGBT. It's not anti-Semitic, right? Because he had made a joke about some space Jews. See, when you look at it through the lenses and eyes of a person that don't belong to any group, right? You're not black, white, Asian, Hispanic, other. You're not Christian, Muslim, Hindu, Jew. Like, you're not nothing like this. Look at it through the eyes of a human being, right? Just neutral. Try to do the most inhumane thing that you could possibly do is try to cut off your emotions and listen to what the brother is saying. You're like, you know what? Now, I can't say that you'll come to the same conclusion that Dave Chappelle was talking about white supremacy and gender equality, that white supremacists change the narrative in order to oppress melanated people and some other groups as well, melanated people mostly, through the LGBT community. He was basically saying a large portion, not all, of that community is racist. If you disagree with me, if you have any comments, please leave them in the chat. If you like the video, please subscribe. 99% of the time, I talk about financial information and investing, getting out of debt. But tonight, I just wanted some light commentary and divisive talk. Yep, I said it, divisive talk, to really air this out, because I think we all have our opinion, right? And I would love for you guys to put your opinion inside the chat room and have a conversation. We can have the conversation. This is a friendly space for everybody, right? I'm not anti anything. There's some things I won't do and some things I will do. But see, the problem is, I want you to think about this. I really want you guys to think about what I'm about to say next. Please think about this. The last people to get canceled were who? Right? I want you to talk about. Let me give you a little bit of history here, real quick. Michael Jackson, before he passed, they pretty much pinned him as a pedophile. Prince, before he passed, they pictured him as a gay man who overdosed on pills, right? And, as well as Michael Jackson too. Then Harvey Weinstein, Epstein, they came and left very, very quickly. You notice that they came and left very, very quickly, and they got rid of Epstein. If he was going to spill the beans, the Hollywood greats, they got rid of him. They said that he essentially committed suicide in the cell. There were some other people through the Me Too movement, but they did some sexual assault, right? But I want you to think about this. After the Epsteins and Weinsteins, it's been essentially 100% melanated people, right? They canceled Kevin Hart. He couldn't do with the Globe or Emmys, whatever it is. And he said some stuff like 10 years ago, and they canceled him. That community canceled him. Baby said something very vulgar on stage, and they automatically assigned it to them. That's an insult for us. He didn't say lesbian. He didn't say gay. He didn't say trans. He didn't say bisexual. But they canceled the baby because he mentioned sucking you know what in the parking lot, not catching AIDS. Automatically. Some people know the rhetoric and resounding messaging around the word AIDS. Last time I checked, Magic Johnson had AIDS, and he wasn't homosexual as far as I know. You see what I'm saying, family? He said those very two things that got people in a community to cancel him. Now, I don't agree with all the messaging in the baby's rap music, but the brother's talented. I listen to some of it. I don't agree with all the messaging. Hip hop is at a different era right now. It's not like empowerment music. It's more like, ooh, but not like the kids hear this music, right? They try to cancel Kanye West because he had the baby at one of his Donda events. Yeah. They canceled Bill Cosby. They canceled R. Kelly. And I'm not defending R. Kelly at all, but I'm just giving you over and over and over how they drag us through the media, and then we drag our own people, right? We don't just sit down and say, what'd he do? What he said for your own eyes. We sit up there and we look at mass media and we like this. I knew it. And I'm not saying all of us are innocent. I'm not saying that. But I want you to look at how they drag them and how they drag us. Right? If I had to demonstrate a drag, it'd be like Epstein, Weinstein, right? But when it comes to us, they drag us through the mud, through the pee, through the doo-doo for miles. This is the difference. Let me read what Les Brown says here. Good evening, sir. He says, you're right. At the end of the day, like he said, after it's all said and done, they pick when they are gay or white. Boom. My point exactly. And again, that is not saying, oh my gosh, he's not anti-LGBT. He's not. He's never said anything against our community. He's never invoked violence against our community. Never. And I'm gonna go off on a ledge here. I'm gonna go off on a limb and I'm gonna say majority of melanated people, we're not really anti anything except white supremacy. Man, you do you. That's the words we use in our community. Oh, nah, man, he gay, but he cool, dog. He ain't like that around us. How many times have I ever heard that? I've heard it. We had gay guys in high school. One of the gay dudes, he could sing his butt off, but nobody like, I ain't getting next to him. I don't recall a lot of us being homophobic. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I am saying I don't remember a large amount of us anti anything except anti-racism, except anti-discrimination, except anti-redlining. That's what I'm saying, family. And neither is he. But why can't he speak on a topic through comedy and send out messaging without people lashing out through their emotions, trying to cancel somebody? Dave Chappelle doesn't give a fuck. And on this particular thing, I stand in solidarity with the brother. He did not say anything anti-LGBT. Now, again, I don't look at celebrities as my role model. I don't, right? Because they operate in a different realm than I do. So at any given moment, things can change. But when it comes to this, I agree. I 100% agree. Do you think a man that makes $20 million in an hour that really didn't say anything wrong, do you care that people on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and YouTube are trying to quote unquote cancel him? Do you this dude left a $50 million check behind just to get away from it all and went to Africa. How many of you will walk away from a $50 million check? Brother Jermaine, the only thing you got to do is wear this dress in this movie, and that's $50 million. We just want you bust your bussy open a little bit and twerk on the table. That's all we want you to do. That's all I got to do for 50 million? Yeah, man, I could buy my mom a house. What am I getting at, family? That's the true definition of a sellout. That's the true definition of a sellout. You might as well get your broken buck up on a picnic table, because that is the true definition of a sellout. Not a guy that you believe is quirky, intelligent. The people he associates with business is of a lighter skin tone. And he talks like this, like, Dirk, we'll get those reports out. Don't you betcha. Oh, man, that dude's a sellout. You hear him? Is that a sellout? Guy working, networking, communicating, feeding his family? Or a sellout is a person that denigrates your race, that puts the connotation around your melanation as gay, and you're not. Show a force of toxic masculinity, and you're not. Portrays you as a drug dealer, a gangster, a killer, and you're not. Because here's the thing about imagery and perception. The more you watch a certain thing over and over again, that's when it becomes real to you, family. Right? They showed 3 or 4 people who were not Black Americans They were melanated immigrants, and I have nothing against my melanated immigrant friends and associates and those who understand the difference I'm about to make. Going around in pink distinctive clothing, all of these brothers had on pink for some reason. Going around assumedly attacking Asian people. When have black people just went around attacking Asian people? When have we done that? Imagery and perception. So if they keep telling you a certain thing because you keep tuning in to mass media and they keep telling you, Donald Trump is a racist, Donald Trump's a racist, right? And then they get people in certain positions in places that look like you, and they repeat those talking points. So now you see one group saying it, now you see your own people saying it, and you start to believe that thing. It registers and stores in your subconscious mind. And then next thing you know, you're talking like them and speaking like them. You have never been talking and speaking and thinking for yourself. Dave Chappelle don't give a fuck. When have you done that? When have you really thought about something for yourself? And get the information, right? Get the information and trim off the rhetoric, trim off the bias. When have you done that? Because over and over again, they keep telling us about us and how bad we are through movies and entertainment and comedy. It doesn't matter the platform. They continue to tell us about us. But when we start to speak out against them, they want to cancel you. They want to hit you where it hurts, in your pockets. They want to kill contracts and endorsement deals, right? And they get you to believe about this thing. They want to counsel somebody through the lenses of people that look like you, and you're not seeing the bullshit. Because imagery and perception, they know that they can control your mind. You guys need to go out and read that George Orwell book. I think it's 1987. George Orwell book, 1987. You need to go out and read that book. Now, I can give you a whole list of books that you should read, but I'm just going to tell you, you don't ever read another book. Stop having people to think for you because you subscribe to a certain thing. See, I empower free thinking. Get the information, cut out the rhetoric, cut out the bias, and actually understand what the hell's going on. It makes me think about Bill Cosby, or as the joke will say, Bill Cosby. But in a closed session and closed litigation, right? Probably had some NDAs on the table. He admitted, supposedly, allegedly, that he gave pills to those women and they knew they were taking a quaalude. They knew it. And I brought up this, I think, in another cigar talk. And what I was saying in that video was, how many times you've been out, family, with the opposite sex or with the same sex, however you go, don't matter to me. But I'm gonna say it from my perspective, that you've been out, a guy took out a girl, and maybe that girl did some paraphernalia, something extra on the side, right? Nothing crazy, nothing white. We're talking about the greenery. And you guys had drinks, and you gave her a drink, and she wanted another drink, and she wanted another drink, and so now she was nice and ripe, and she wanted to do some things. How many of you say, "Oh, wait. No, I can't do this right now because you're not right." You probably will say that now. Oh, did you say that in your teens? Did you say that in your 20s? Most, I know, speaking for guys, most of us didn't wake up to around 25. And when you woke up, you were still doing some things, weren't you? But I just want to let me give you a different a different perception. Let me give you a different image. You got Becky and Todd. Night on the town. They go to an event, right? Is a tuxedo event, bow tie event. She wearing a white dress in pearls. They're sipping champagne. She said, "Give me another champagne." You sure? Yeah. So she's drinking champagne all night. How many times have you seen movies where the guy's taking the girl back to the car? What do you think happened? See what I'm saying? It don't matter if it's the greenery. It doesn't matter if it's the alcohol. What matters is, in those instances, we really can't know what happened. I remember when people were taking X. I won't say the C, but when people was taking X, right? Nobody was talking about Bill Cosby then. He was doing the same thing that you were doing. And I say you, I'm not saying you, but I'm saying you. You know who you are. And we know who we are. I'm not saying I ever did that, because I sure didn't. But you get the point I'm making. And you enjoy the rest of your night. And then all of a sudden, they knew Bill Cosby was rich. But he was talking about buying NBC rich. They said, "Oh, we didn't know you was that rich." And then there was no more pudding pops, right? There were no more pudding pops. There was no more Jell-O. So what am I getting at? Dave Chappelle don't give a fuck, because he was talking about white supremacy and gender equality. He said gender is a real thing. That's what he said. He said gender is a real thing. What did he mean by that? Anybody? Please talk to me. Put it in the chat. Tell me what you think. And matter of fact, I'll open it up tonight, family. If anybody want to join me here and give me a different perspective, either for, against, or just a sideways comment, the link is in the chat. I will allow you to say what you got to say. Be respectful, okay? Respect the space, but say what you got to say. For or against, or you just want to make a comment about it. Maybe you have what you want to say about it. I'll bring you up. We'll have the discussion. I'll let you speak. But please say what you got to say. Because I think it's important that, not that this is going to change anybody's life. This is just something light, right? I told you in the beginning of the video, this is a light conversation that we guys are having, right? We can get out our difference of opinions about it. I think it's fun. Because at the end of the day, you getting mad, you getting happy, doesn't matter what you think, family. Dave Chappelle don't give a fuck. He rich, right? He don't care. But the point of this, he did some coding messaging that some people can't decode, so they automatically get their emotions and feel butthurt. No pun intended. Maybe a little. Right? That's where I'm at right now, family. What's your questions? What's your comments? Please let me know. Good evening, Mitch from Alaska. And for you guys who are just tuning in, why did I say that Dave Chappelle doesn't give a fuck? Because of this. Because of this, family. Dave Chappelle, in 5 years, 6 Netflix special, has made $120 million. An hour special, once a month is $86 million. An hour special for an entire year is $1.04 billion. This guy right here, he doesn't give a fuck. Is it all about the money? Because no, we could think very futuristically and say, well, he can hurt his next paycheck. Again, I tell you, family, he left a $50 million check on the table because he's not willing to be butt broken by this system. He said his jokes in a way that was shock and awe and ooh and ah. Shock and awe and ooh and ah. That's what he... Some of you guys may think I'm up here bebopping, but I'm making a point here. And I'm going to do this one more time. So for the people who not understand what I mean is, Dave Chappelle's a level 2 comedian. Kevin Hart is a level 1. What I'm talking about is the laughter and messaging that you get from their bodies of work. When you listen to a Kevin Hart, you will laugh your butt off. You're like, oh man, oh y'all, they got an okra just like that, man. Oh shit. That's how you guys are. Right? And I listen to Kevin Hart. He's a funny guy sometimes. But then you get a brother who took a time out, left $50 million on a check, instead of making comedy that somewhat denigrated and degraded our people. He came back very conscious and started to make comedy more like, oh, ooh, wow, okay, right? It made you think. And if you guys didn't think when Dave Chappelle was doing this last special, The Closer, right? If you guys wasn't thinking, I really want to encourage you and motivate you to go back and watch it and listen again and pause it. You know, I watched it for the second time with my wife, and we paused it and we talked about it. We talked about some clips here and they're like, babe, did you understand what he was saying? It was some things, most things my wife totally understand, but some people that he was actually naming or insinuating to that she did, and we paused and we broke that down. But it was very, very intelligent comedy. It was conscious comedy. It just didn't make you chuckle. It made you think, right? And a lot of things you had to follow him on his journey, because he would say a joke in the beginning and then make relevance to it on the back end of another story. You get what I'm saying? It's like you tell somebody some information up front and then you circle back to it and make a comment of the joke you made up front to have a connection to make one major point. This was about white supremacy and gender equality, how they pick and choose their communities and how to oppress you. You guys are not getting what I'm saying. First and foremost, I would like to say once again, this is not stating that everyone part of the LGBT community is part of white supremacy. But I think there's going to be a term that comes out. And I really think, because we say that white privilege, I think it's going to start being like LGBT privilege or something. But I really think a better term for it, right? I'm going to put this out here because I really want to know what this means. Let's see. Let me make sure I get this right. But it's a term that's going to come out. I don't know if it's going to come out, but I want to be the first to say it. All right. But there might be a term like SIPOC privilege or something very short, right? I can't really find it right now, but that's okay. But the point here is, when he made the joke about the baby and how he killed a guy in Walmart in self-defense, baby was cleared. Okay, just to point that out, that he was cleared in self-defense. How that didn't make any headline news. I didn't even know that. Did you know that the baby actually killed somebody in self-defense in Walmart before? He killed someone. And here's the thing. I never knew that, right? But I knew about the comment he made. We going back to mass media in the system of white supremacy. Because that was self-defense, didn't really make any headline news, right? And no one really spoke about it. But soon as he made that comment about you being in the parking lot, sucking you know what, and you don't have AIDS, automatically a certain community assigned that to the listed things that bother them, right? You know, a lot of times in life, you don't know things that bother you until it bothers you, right? Something that irritates you. You don't really know that, right? But it's like they had pen and paper and they were like, wait a minute, does that bother us, guys? Hold up. Committee, LGBT committee, does that bother us? Well, who said it? Dave Chappelle said, yep, that bothers us. Okay, cool. We got that down here. What about this comment? Who said it? Kevin Hart. That's about, yep, that bothers us. What'd he say? What'd the baby say? Huh? What'd he say? That bothers us. Okay, let's write that down. What did Jerry Seinfeld say? Does that bother us? No. That don't bother us. Jerry Seinfeld? No. That don't bother us. What did Bill Burr say? Wait a minute. What did Bill Burr say with 2 R's? What did he say? He said that. Wait a minute. Don't Bill Burr got a black wife? Yeah. That bother us. He got that black wife. Yeah. That bother us. This is the smile of frustration that our people need to wake up and stop denigrating your own people because of what other people from other groups and other agendas tell you, instead of you thinking for yourself, instead of you watching and listening for yourself. That's my point here. Because at the end of the day, it don't matter what you think about Dave Chappelle because he don't give a fuck. I'm not talking up for him. I'm just trying to free your mind. Of course, and the rest will follow. I got to say that. But you get what I'm getting at, family, right? Mitch said, yes, I knew about the baby history. Yeah, there was some of us that knew about the baby's history, but a lot of us, speaking for, I guess, the lot of me, didn't know about it. And then once we found out, oh, okay, he's self-defense. Okay, cool. But we listen to rappers and we listen to people in that entertainment spaces actually kill and murdered people. And they got off on a technicality and we're still listening to their music. But some of you are on the seesaw. Some of you are on the fence about should you not look at or entertain Dave Chappelle. Well, 2 things. Dave Chappelle don't give a fuck. And secondly, in my opinion, from my perspective and my narrative, Dave Chappelle was talking about white supremacy and how they can change it at any given point and tell you at the end of the day, I'm white and I say so. And I posed the question again. This is the 3rd time, family. I hear nobody in the chat room. I haven't seen no one commented about this. Could you walk away from $50 million from the CC network? Could you walk away from $50 million? That's the question. Could you walk away? No, I'll make it more real. I'll make it more of an action word. Will you walk away from $50 million? That's the first question. Please answer at your own apparel. Will you walk away from $50 million is the first question. Second question is, what do you think you have to do for that $50 million? What do you think you have to do for that $50 million? Because let me tell you, if you're not in that space to be buck broken, then you won't be buck broken. If you're not in that space to be buck broken, you would not be buck broken. It has to be a special thing in you to sell out your masculinity or your femininity for a check. Because you're thinking about all the lives that you can possibly change if you take this check. But the things that you have to do for this check, and this brother wasn't down for that. He left it on the table. Anybody, conscience says, yes, with my dignity intact. Now, I want you guys to be real. And I'm not saying conscious. I'm not saying, brother, you're not real. I'm not saying that. But I want you guys to really be truthful here and just put yes or no with a comment, whatever you got there. Yes, you could walk away for $50 million, or nah, dog, I couldn't do it. I got a sick grandma. My kids are eating out of canned foods. I hate being on a job. If somebody offer me $50 million, I'm going to take it. And that means that you're going to do any and everything they tell you for that 50 million. Because he knew, Dave Chappelle knew with that $50 million contract that he'll be signing away his life. He will be signing away his dignity. He will be signing his way his creativity. Now, there's many of Dave Chappelle, you know, in his community, that they took that $50 million check. They took that $50 million check. See, I see people here today, but nobody really wants to say anything. I'm not going to twist your words, family. I want to know, if you was offered $50 million, would you take that check? Then the second question is, what do you think you have to do for that $50 million? Are you in the same? Because some of you are going to say that, well, the reason why Dave Chappelle walked away for all that money because he was already rich. 50 million is 50 million. 50 million is 50 million, family. 50 million is $50 million. I know some of you are shy to answer here because I know it hits home, it hits real when that check is in front of you with all those zeros. But this brother walked away and came back with a very conscious message. So you can waste your time trying to counsel him and talk bad about him, praise him, salute him. First and foremost, I agree with Dave Chappelle on this particular thing. But again, I tell you, Dave Chappelle will not be any sort of symbolism or Black empowerment symbol for the community. He's a celebrity. He's in a total different realm and a total different space. But the messaging within the comedy, I agree with. Because if you didn't get it, family, it wasn't anti-Semitic. It wasn't anti-homophobic. He was coming from a space of realism. It was impactful. It was powerful. But again, a lot of times our minds are assaulted. Our minds are manipulated. Our minds are crucified by the people we subscribe to. When I say subscribe to, I'm just saying entities and organizations that you constantly support and listen to and believe. I'll speak to some people sometimes, right? I'll speak to some brothers sometimes. And I swear, just listen to them talk. I'm like, you listen to CNN all day long. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if you are Anderson Cooper or Jake Tapia. You sound, what's the dude Bush name? I don't know which anchor you are on CNN, but brother, you should be an anchor on CNN or MSNBC. You're saying all the talking points. And we have some people like that from the other networks like Fox News. Like, man, do you watch the news all day? Yeah, man, I can tell you watch the news all day because I have not heard one word out of your mouth from you. When are you going to start thinking for yourself and not have people to tell you to counsel your people? Yeah. I know some of you are saying everybody that look like me ain't my brother or sister. Well, I want you to go to South Africa. And I want you to walk down the street. Go to South Africa and I want you to walk down the street. And when non-melanated people was riding around in trucks, these people from other countries like India and Asia, and they were just shooting melanated people, I really want you to say, that's not your brother and sister now, as you got a gun pointed at your head. You see that? It takes a traumatizing event for us to unify and organize, right? It's kind of like your child, right? Your child tell you a lie, you whoop his butt, then he tell you the truth. That's where I'm at. That's where we're at. We've been here for a long, long time. Didn't we figure this out during the civil rights movement? How they tried to essentially tell us that our leaders were flawed. Everybody's flawed. How they try to lift up the non-violent guy from the quote unquote what they call violent guy. And then when you challenge them on their rhetoric, they're like a turtle in a shell. They're like a man in a cave. When did Malcolm X say anything violent? Or did he talk about protecting himself, which is a human right? But they would tell you that, oh, he promoted violence. No, he promoted revenge. He promoted retaliation. He promoted self-defense. That's the difference. They want you to be docile. They don't want you to think and talk and work for yourself. No. They don't want that. Not in the system of white supremacy. And as a disclaimer, not all white people are white supremacists. But there are some who contribute. There are some that contribute in the system and support the system, either consciously or unconsciously. That could either be through social economics. That can be through quote unquote privilege. I remember someone told me, they said, when you're rich, like, you know, you have a good lump of money, that essentially white supremacy can hurt you. I had to really think about that. Because I think about if I had $100 million, right? White supremacy really wouldn't stop me from buying a house, would they? Or would they? Would they or would they? Would they stop me from living in a certain neighborhood? Would they stop me from forming my own business through an LLC? It don't matter your economic level. If white supremacy wants to touch you, white supremacy will grab you. If they feel as though that you're getting too powerful, they will crush you. They will counsel you. When you start speaking the truth from what you know it, they will twist and mind, manipulate and change and mix and match your words to fit the narrative so they can counsel you. The worst thing that you can do is buck break to it, to fold to it. This is why he gets my respect. This is why Dave Chappelle gets my respect. Because over and over again through his 6-series special on Netflix, he continued to very verbally go against white supremacy. But we didn't say it that way. This was that really lewd and rude comedy, similar to like old school Eddie Murphy, like Raw and Delicious. Y'all remember that? That was some really good comedy. That's like, you know, next to Richard Pryor, that was the eye-opening comedy, but this is totally different. That was still level 1 comedy. Richard Pryor did some level 2 comedy. Red Fox did some level 2 comedy where they had coded messages in there and you had to just put it together. It wasn't too deep, but it was deep enough. This is where we're at, family. Thank you, Percy, for the donation, brother. I do appreciate that. Percy says, you say something about another race, they make you go on an apology tour, but you can say anything about us or to us. 1,000%. 1,000%. Blue Magnet said, hell no. I will have to be able to still look into the mirror every day. Think for yourself, family. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy your entertainment. Read a book every now and again. But at the end of the day, if you don't listen to nothing I'm saying, don't crucify right? Don't degrade. Don't mix and match what people that look like you are saying and do. Examine it for yourself and come up with your own conclusion instead of this clicking the remote and listen to other people tell you what it really is. We let people tell us what it really is. There was a hurricane. There was a hurricane in Vietnam. That's the news. Well, I believe that this machine that the CIA created possibly made up the hurricane. That's rhetoric. That is perspective. That is bias. That doesn't mean it's not true. That doesn't mean it's not true. But that's not the news. And in some forms, that can be considered propaganda. Because that's not the news. Yes, a hurricane hit Vietnam. Oh, there's some machine that the CIA have that creates storms and earthquakes. Is it possible? Yes. But again, before we cancel anyone, show me the evidence. Show me the evidence of the machine. Show me if the machine is real. Now show me evidence that at this time that it sent microwaves or frequency to start that hurricane to set off those earthquakes. You see what I'm saying? So again, when it comes to Dave Chappelle, show me the evidence. Show me when he was anti-homophobic. Show me when he was anti-gay. Show me when he was anti-Semitic. Show me. Show me. And then what I'll do, I'll show you that you probably are anti-black. You probably weren't expecting that. Then I'll show you how much you're anti-black. Because that means you miss the message. You miss the mark. Sometimes we are so ready to be entertained. We love to see a good twerking on a table. But when someone says something powerful and impactful, oh, man, he said that. You got to listen to it all. The worst thing that you can do is listen to sound bites. Oh, how many of our people have been destroyed by sound bites? But Donald Trump, sound bites didn't kill his presidency when he was saying that he go around kissing beautiful women in the mouth and grabbing on pussy. That didn't cancel his presidency, did it? The 1994 crime bill didn't cancel Joe Biden. When Kamala Harris said they didn't do nothing for melanated people, it didn't cancel her. When Joe Biden said, if you ain't black, you ain't vote for me. If you ain't black, if you don't vote for me, you're not black. He didn't get canceled from the presidency. When he decreased the HBCU budget by $43 billion, I don't hear nobody out there marching and twittering to cancel Joe Biden. Huh? You got to be more careful. You see what I'm saying? So hopefully the majority of you that stay here, listen to me talking, I just did what Dave Chappelle did. I went full circle and came right back and said, Dave Chappelle, family, Dave Chappelle does not give a fuck. Got to be more careful, family. You guys have a great and wonderful night. This is Financial Literacy 101. Learn money and be inspired. Cigar Talks, either Friday or Saturday nights, usually around 7 or 8 Central Standard Time. Stock reviews, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, Central Standard Time, anywhere between 7:30 and 8. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your Indigenous Aboriginal People Day on Monday. You guys have a great and wonderful evening. I'm out.